Well, so like I already said, I had like this informal background in, running in the woods and playing on the yard and so on. But really the background started like this, or from where I would say it started in my teenage years when I went to Taekwondo. We had like these local lessons there, and I was pretty hooked actually. It was something very exotic. I was in the martial arts, like I liked Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee, so Taekwondo was the closest. You get to wear the suit on, you get to have these belts, and there's tests to get the belt, and there was a lot of kicking. I was actually pretty good at kicking. Or the teachers told me that I was very explosive with the kicks, and I was really, even when I went to the gym during this time, I never lifted the weights. I was actually a little bit afraid of the weights. I thought they maybe make you stiff, and all I was doing was just kicking the back and punching the back. So the Taekwondo, I did this for 4 years actually, and then it just, I don't know, I somehow lost my interest over the years, but then I had a big phase here with one of my friends in high school actually. I had a really good friend who was also in the martial arts, and we were doing like these different calisthenic skills like human flags, muscle ups, back levers. We were trying to do flips. We were actually trying to film like action movies with him as well. We were like getting really creative with that stuff. And I was really focused on the calisthenics, bodyweight fitness, and also partly you could say like beginning of the movement training for me, trying to emulate these different type of stunts that I, for example, saw Jackie Chan doing from his movies. I was really trying to copy that. So there was the Taekwondo, it was my own calisthenic bodyweight training. And then in my early 20s, I did capoeira for 2 years, which had a massive impact on my movement development. Even today, you will see influences from capoeira, from different movements. I was named, I forgot the Brazilian name, but the English translation for my capoeira name, because in capoeira, they give everyone a name, like a Brazilian name. And my name meant the spring. So, like a spring that goes like boom, boom, boom. And I think it probably described a lot of my movement, like the dynamic nature of my personality, but also of my movement and the explorative nature that was just like coming out through the movement. Like I explained about the high school, like I felt a bit repressed and like I couldn't express myself, and it led me to this more internal world of philosophy and everything. But movement became like, I feel like something through which, like a vehicle through which I was really able to express what was inside of me, my soul and my spirit, through movement. But so, yeah, the background continues from capoeira. I mean, I did actually a number of things during this university times. I did courses on breakdance. I did yoga. I also did a course on modern dance. I did Thai boxing. So martial arts, dance, capoeira, all of this very like whole body movements that required a lot of coordination from the body is something that I studied during these times. And from there on, I actually moved on to a phase where I kind of stopped this more athletic sport type training. And I was really just focused on bodybuilding and lifting, weightlifting. For the first time in my life, I went really serious with this. I got this spark of like some kind of like, you know what, I want to try to build muscle. I saw like this, I started to idolize some of the bodybuilders, some of the people who were lifting super heavy with their heavy weights and even power lifters. And this was a new phase for me. I was learning really traditional training, traditional bodybuilding exercises that pretty much everyone is doing nowadays. This very conventional approach to the training and pumping the muscles. And well, it caused me, of course, a lot of troubles and something that we'll maybe talk about later. But from there on, I had to make the change and move to a form of training, kind of go back to the roots, from which I started. This is more movement-based. But this time was much more refined. So I went to that movement type of training, which was in capoeira and martial arts, but I took it much further. I started to develop my own animal movements. Actually, the first time ever, just had to mention, that I ever did lizard crawl was during the Taekwondo classes in my teenage years. I can remember very well. It might have been called crocodile walk or lizard walk, but I remember I really was hooked on that. They emphasized go low on that movement. And so that also, I had already that experience in some of the animal movements through the martial arts. but now I was like seeing like the benefits of them in a much more clearer manner, because I had the other contrast of heavy lifting and bodybuilding to show me like that this was not everything that there was to fitness. So in movement training, I went deep into mobility training, into flexibility training. I opened up my body. You know, this is all the movement stuff, movement training stuff, and from there I transferred again, and I started to become much more, I say, refined, even more refined in my approach. We developed this athletic precision training methodology, which contained a lot of traditional exercise, but also more very unconventional exercises. I was like I was doing like day and night. Like, it's hard to explain, but I was so passionate that I remember many times when it's almost midnight and I'm doing some exercises in my small apartment. I'm like really trying to learn to connect to my body, learn to better feel what is going on in my muscles, become aware of every single inch, every single millimeter in my body while I'm doing these exercises, and build that sort of consciousness that I felt was somewhat lacking. And during this time, you know, it's really I started to become very methodological. Everything became very systematic, and I started to do all of things with completely new approach, completely new mindset to develop my body further. And this contained, of course, all of the different attributes that I was training, like speed, power, explosiveness, agility, mobility, stability, everything. But it was from a new perspective, and it brought very much new results also. So after this type of athletic phase and very isolated, emphasized, strict form of training, I actually got more into breathing. I was in a breathing seminar. I was taught by a very renowned coach, Steve Maxwell. He taught many very intriguing breathing techniques, and that opened up my mind again to new areas in fitness. I started to apply that in my training, and from there I actually started to move on to high intensity conditioning training. I started to focus on endurance type of training, cardio, and the breathing aspect of it. So I had this type of phase as well. From there, I actually, the training background, there's been so many things I've already gone through here, but after the conditioning, there was also the period where I started to train MMA, mixed martial arts, which was a completely new area. I had never really done wrestling in my life, and that wrestling, grappling, striking combination was totally new for me. And it was a way to really test out the things that I have been developing over the years, the foundation I had built over the years. So MMA was a big thing for me. I did like 1 year very consistently. Then even I moved to Russia, and in Russia I was training with the guys like wrestling and MMA. I was in St. Petersburg. But it was actually before this MMA phase, we had already once met with Jiang Yushan, who is the grandmaster, the monkey kung fu master of Taiwan. And with him we started to actually learn for the first time ancient Qigong and Kung Fu and body hardening methods. And this is something we continued, even like we went actually to Taiwan in total 4 different times. And I started this very long and in-depth phase of learning Qigong and these ancient methods, ancient ways of training. It was like finding this kind of treasure from somewhere that's kind of like hidden, because the knowledge that Grandmaster Jiang Yu possesses, it's very rare in the world of this knowledge was not in the West. It was not even among many Qigong teachers that are out there, because it was inherited basically from the local grandmasters that he went to church there. But we were able to really go and learn with him this ancient art, and even made like 4 different courses. I actually received my very first black belt in Qigong and self-defense from the Jiang Yushan, which was a great moment. So, and after that, it's really been taking just everything further all the time. I'm still exploring the methods I've been developing new methods of taking care of the body, of strengthening and healing the body. I've been taking everything further from all this background that I just went through, from the martial arts, from the different dance sports, from the different Qigong, and from my own experimentation. So it's quite a long background in many different areas. in fitness. Hope that gives a good idea of it.